After developing your thesis statement based on the prompt, the next step is going to be kind of brainstorming and organizing your thoughts. There's a new strategy I want us to learn this year called weaving. Basically, the difference is, in years past, we've focused on the three-dimensional thesis, and then we have a paragraph about each item that we've listed in our thesis. We're going to try to cut that out because it really limits our organization. So we're going to try to eliminate those three dimensions and use rather sub-motifs or sub-themes to organize. That's all weaving is rather than having an entire paragraph about metaphor and an entire paragraph about tone, we're going to have sub-themes or sub-motifs that kind of opens up our expression. So let's just take a minute and look at, this is my pre-writing, my brainstorming that I sat down and kind of jotted things down. If my overall motif is prejudice, and I look, there's different types of prejudice, like race and gender and socioeconomics and behavior. And then you'll see next to each that I kind of jotted down some ideas and things that go along with the microcosm of the novel. For example, with race, I have the foil between Lulu and Cal, the irony of Cal's mastery of two different languages, the allusion to the Scottsboro trial that is kind of what the Tom Robinson trial is based on, the metaphor of the mockingbird and Tom Robinson. If you look under socioeconomic status, I have the symbol of the red geranium at the Yules that Mayella has that kind of is ironic. It sets her apart from her family, and the juxtaposition between the Negro quarters with the Yule quarters. And then for gender, I have the foil between Alexandra and Atticus and the irony of the tea conversation. When I take a step back and look at that and want to organize it, what I would do then is to try to put it in, it's similar to an outline, but I don't require a formal outline. But you'll notice that each of those submotifs are now the main points. So that would be where my topic sentence comes from. And then within that, I have multiple examples. Now, just because I have them listed there doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to use them. For timed essays, you don't have as much time to develop everything in full. But this was everything that just came into my head, and it's better to have more to eliminate from than not enough to try to add to. So if I look at race, you'll see, again, I have the allusion to the Scottsboro trial. I have foil. As I was reorganizing, I came up with another foil, Tom and Mayella. The irony of Mr. Raymond's character. The juxtaposition of Cal's mastery of two languages, and again, the mockingbird metaphor. When I look at socioeconomic prejudice, I again talk about the juxtaposition between those two places and the symbol of the red geranium. I added another submotif. I wasn't sure what I wanted to call it, whether it be based on legend, family name, or behavior. So for that, I have the anecdote or the flashback that Lee includes about Boo and him stabbing his father and not even batting an eye. And then, of course, symbols, the quarter that Walter refuses from Miss Caroline, and the potatoes, wood, hickory nuts, etc. that the Cunninghams pay with. And the last, the gender. In addition to the two that I briefly stated before, I also considered the symbol of Scout's overalls and the juxtaposition between the Christmas gifts that Scout gets versus what Francis gets. So that's basically all that weaving is. It's just looking at my sub-themes or sub-motifs. So I look at my main motif. Since it was prejudice, I'm going to break that down in different types of or different way. I could have gone with different ways it impacts people. And then use the different literary elements or rhetorical devices that the author uses specific to those particular sub-motifs. You'll notice that, Harper Lee uses a ton of other rhetorical devices and literary elements, but they're not necessarily specific to this motif or the sub-motif. So I want to make sure when I'm doing my brainstorming that I'm thinking along those lines and not just saying, she uses a symbol here and might not have anything to do with that particular sub-motif.